Julian Brogowski. Just then at the height of so abrupt, what did you do? You're a big, strong, leaping salmon when you fuck with the son of a scum of a sort of apoplexy, really. If I can't taste the nectar, then I fly, jump, or do nothing between the mattress and the box spring. Nothing at all like the bee of Voltaire, which though it cannot find the hive, has not reverted to a state of wildness. The honeyed phonies are all around. I had lovers once, and now they're gone. Such a lesson. If you think back to the perfectly wonderful time snatched from a whole roomful, it's been platinum ever since. You have to cross the street to avoid giving that impression. I mean 7 to 10 days of solid platinum. That's the chronic, darling. You're talking all that bullshit about the thorn that tore your coat off, flinging it to the sky. We've been around this block. So many capable hands around me call it the way and show it to so few, darling. When you read this, you'll hear a song, or won't you? USSSSSS. The sun came out with a camera and started shooting. Freeze, you're on tumble dry. El hombre en la sala wants to make love, but can't, ni la mujer tampoco. The famous saying, sucking all permission out of collapse theory, 11 backspaces ago. It was an uphill ballet just to fucking arrive with paradise pockets. Get down, never to be duplicated. The experiment was successful and lies buried very deep where none can find it. Oh, so that's how. Well, tough shit, asshole. From a public health perspective, I mean, it ties you to the city, that's for sure. She put the doll in my line of sight. Why? I wondered at the echo in the room. 16 lines read aloud with passion, emotion, feeling. I have been brave. I have shot braces. If you saw me, you'd know. And if I were a hammer, I would wave. Ask me, how do I feel? When I jumped away from the lover's lane killer, did I lose a sock? Probably. And the fellows ribbed me. I was 16. I'll tell you something unsurprising. No need to hold your breath for this one. If what you're looking for is a clear example, look away. I say, I am affected with the bitterest of afflictions, crashing down, indifferent to my pain. It is as if calamities surround me and lie on wait for me on every road. Must I always be a refugee from rough treatment? Or will emancipation come from misfortune's prisoner? I am overcome by the occasion for speech, even as I gargle on its torments, which take away all that is agreeable and companionable, the fitness of things, and every true friend. Novelty, antiquity, and curiosity were all spoiled for me. One pillar of the age remained upright. When the rooster in the yards I used to frequent, so sweet and specialty above the other roosters, was overtaken by a predatory fate. The fate that claims all mortals and disbands every team. It fixed its arrows heading him that he might grace a supper table. At the top of a cliff, the ash-gray doves of morning noise my grief for him without cessation. O hen-fed foster chick of our household, who grew into a lusty caller, if my distress could reverse your death, it would be no less a fool's, smitten over you, Abu Nadir, and your nature, which never passed its peak and never withered. Cherished being of the noble doings, who grew up fawned over into beauty's fullest flower, yours was the beauty of a trusted friend and true. In your waist wrapper, you would greet the day by an ornate hand dyed and embroidered in all the colors of the pomegranate flower, the bright carnelian, lightning, fire, the flash of wine in a prismatic crystal cup, all set a blur at the beating of your wings. It is as if a master did your makeup, or you rose up rouged by nature, feathers shining like a peacock's, brilliant in metallic luster, of a red and a yellow in its blueness, whose exact shade was impossible to pin down. It was the incomparable display of an essence whose every attitude was consummate grace. 2 gold dust beards flowed down your sternum, a ruby crown set on your head. In the roughness of your voice was something lacking harshness to the ear, like a slender nigh, whose music comes only through the player's art, to the beat of wings set clapping like the sleeves of a hand-sore reveler. Proud of gait, you lord it over 7 hens, like fair she-camels mounted by their stallion, egg-layers all without deficit or flaw, their salubrious provender, which were marvels of craftsmanship endowed with grace and executed with finesse. Whites of silver, yolks of gold, stashed inside an ivory locker. How excellent their mixture when combined in a runny stream. A worthy repast, whether fried in oil or boiled over fire and water. By your life! If only I could have some now. But nothing that nourishes a man is eternal. On looking around the neighborhood bereft of you, my sobs are racking and profound, and sharpened by the crowing of a rooster in the house next door. In dark of night, and blaze of lightning, my grief is without pause. And when the untroubled wake to their ranks in the world, I spurn their example by going to sleep. Numbly I bear your loss, as a prisoner bears his long frustration. Notwithstanding your removal to a distant abode, you are never far from me, even as the clouds burst over your grave and unsoil your bones with falling water. Center stormed in sights, and out of air to weave another, calling and calling another to where next to blue stare in the flight, the blue outline, hit with one is likely to exclaim, "Nice going," to a judge. Letting the arts be sciences, an arched way and an open, a bridge across a dog-shit maze to let the arts break in between October and November, November and December. It's the truth that makes the fire go uphill. This site looks rad in Netscape only. If you're using another browser, it's, "I'd like to thank the octopus that gave its arms so I could sing the song." I waited to invade me. I waited and waited. California is a guy in his car getting high at the airport. I have a cat whose foot pads I dye with henna before I put henna on my own newborns. Then I tie cowrie shells to her collar to repel the harm of evil eyes. Each day, before I feed my family, I see that she gets our choicest meats and purest waters. The playful thing, when she sees my face contorted in a frown, sometimes she sings, sometimes she dances, sparing no exertion for my diversion's sake. I care nothing for the fire's warmth when she lies with me in the chill of winter's longest nights. When I give her scratches, she gives me licks, with a tongue toothed like the surface of a file. If I avoid her, she fawns on me, wheedling with her little high-pitched moans. If I give her trouble, she will show me her claws, a sight that gives the eyes no pleasure. When she plays with a mouse, she is at her saltiest, for she puts him through humiliating torment. When he faints from terror, she busies herself in batting him awake with a left and a right. She teases him with feigned inattention, then swoops like a falcon when he tries to creep away. Just when he dares hope for peace from her, those hopes are dashed with the serpent's liveliness. In this way do the decrees of fate ruin a man and finish him with a cut to the aorta, just when, amid the lively gathering, he takes the cup of destiny from a server.
Okay, this is a poem that I want to dedicate to Stacy. And I wanted to dedicate it to Stacy because she's a person that I've learned a tremendous amount from in her writing. I think of 3 people. There are many, many people. We all know who write that we keep learning from everyone we read. We learn about what we don't want to do, what we would like to attain, try. There were many very distinguished poets at this conference, both giving talks and readings. And it was just crammed with readings, and you're just exhausted, no matter how good it was. But I decided I wanted to hear the people that weren't known. I wanted to hear the young people, because that's really most of the time who I really learned from. And so I went into I think it was in the cafeteria or something. We were sitting in some large room, and this person named Stacy, whose last name I'm not sure how I can pronounce correctly, so I won't try, but you all know it. And she got up and read, and I thought it was just wonderful work. It just stood out to me so far and away from what was going on that I'd been listening to of the famed ones. And but I didn't see it on the page, I heard it. And then later she sent me a book that she'd done, and since then I've tried to always see her books, and her beautiful broadsides, which Brian Tier, who's the third person on this triumvirate that I was going to name, Brian Tier made a beautiful broadside of a poem by Stacy that is above my desk. And again, it's so distilled, each sound that is placed on the page, and it drops through the page, and it gathers force as it goes, but not force like that, but just it gathers depth and resonance. How's that? And I'm very grateful for that. So this poem that I'm going to read has 6 parts, and it's a poem that I really, really like a lot. And it's not at all like the way Stacy writes, or George Alvin writes, or Brian Tier writes, but it has what I have learned from them about how important it is to observe closely and try to get your language as close to what it is in the world that you are encountering, both in sound and flesh, and then your response to it. This poem is called Something We Needed. It's in journal entries, each one on a page or something, a little longer. Something We Needed. First sight, August 3rd. Subtracting from black, it approaches the middle distance of elephant gray, or the disappearance of assigned pigment. The water's surface defines 2 of 4 dimensions. Fire having been relatively accessible above ground, even as the land animals were shut away from their familiar huts. Most water depth had not been measured until there was none. We were not told, or was it that we didn't know how to recognize the symptoms as our brains grew feeble from continuously multiplying facts? Oil spill tinned and marketed, yet certain parts of the alphabet were discovered along the low gray wall, identified as the horizon. X seemed particularly poignant, suggesting something we needed. Black Suitcase, August 4th. Color arrives, green arrives as a subset in collaboration, sun having risen in place, again black suitcase pulled over bed of needles. The doe turns, glances up at intervals, leans, nibbles at early soaked grass, haunches markedly slanted inward at knee joints intended for escape, though still seen through glass door with smaller replica behind her nibbling, glancing up at black jeans passing. Wakened by silence, gray lights snagged in tree bark continuous of what had been called nobility of task before and after you stood there. Creep and flow of pattern in genus, evergreen, all commas. If I woke earlier, that is, if for any reason my eyes were prompted to open, it was not from a dream, but that someone's voice said, morning, as if outside sleep, but not the mechanical clan of alarm, but inviting me to reassemble and inhabit a body as it leaned across cotton sheets to see clock hands at 7:05 a.m. Some sort of brain scan. Some sort of brain scan. J at the door of sleep. Not physical in the normal way one thinks of bodily presence, but as in the signal of a passenger ship approaching. You in unmeasured depth, still sleeping behind being the harbored one in middle distance. The chromatic balance had again arrived to reassure, and with its question startle the body, grateful to yet be touched by cotton depth, green and blue, the medium in which we understood the ship coming closer. Or logic. Delayed, what was it? Leftover, almost said mainspring, locution, off-putting, lifting's effort of red wire, modest stratagem. Gem spa, 9th and 2nd, chocolate folio under which egg cream air, he told her, sutured with tape and geranium rose, his secret stutterer scrap heap. If only we'd said he wasn't spiritual, but could feel the awe, that little yes material, script pierced and pierces. Sleep's end of it, rose geranium, whistle stop nape of neck thistle, down fallow mind of page, delayed early sphere theory. Margins. Stella begins rebuke, torn shirt Stanley's and white, silent movie talk ending, a few blue decals in the projection cabinets. Abuse of reliable matter embossed, how A connects to its wire. One glance, Maroon glacé, when she talks about frame theory, the game bird's heartbeat under glass, fluttery to her as a pamphlet or a flock of black ink, wings tied off. Song, rebuke, rescinds the variable. You often measured pretense between face and thread when you demonstrated linen. Corner understood, unsafe on camera, reading him, delayed erasure, giving him 0 or 1, syllabic temptation of yesterday's waving particle. Laud, low, Atlantis, shallow. Wrong obsidian lesson and axis ladder and hairpin do not hold sway. Kid Indiger dot picture folds up playground early, witness pulling her in violet black ashine as effacement mirror, not seen. What passed in dark sidereal cloud chamber, festooned with giddy scars, is past and perfect. You write, dear sir, wherever you be, please map us there. Open side of resilient moon yaw. 20th century. Part 1, nor interest in being either. The mother's body not to her own height. A yellow with green with chrome, radiator symmetry, anxiety. Heated body in parts with something inconsistent to heat in the center part. Of dependency in which each partition loves its part, in which parturition is its height, that which is born its height, that in the act of its height. He more finished, mounted on the surface or base of another, more finished. It is intention to be finished and to begin. She is, nor is she interested in being either, nor summoned directly into one another, but is too and dark and richly dark, dark that is contained in and next to herself, her evasion, geometry brown and black and rich refusal that is not beside herself any particular work. 2. Such that qualities of inconsistency. Such that qualities of inconsistency, altered by its placement, the lower half of her body painted directly on or against the surface of a wall, will, in fact, her studio given in reward of surface duress and paint. The black lines meet. Largesse, her height or private parts framed to either. Radiator symmetry, such that qualities of intent frailty, geometrically rooted, she turns his verticals, law he made and said. She loved to break now corners, directional points of tablet, not vertical, but placed and painted. Loved, inconsistent, her private height, his death of painting, arms raised but inconsistently, but in place, her 20th century arms, parts private gendarme streets, parts private gendarme stereo listing, typing, subjecting, formal weakness, such that qualities of frailty, geometrically inconsistent with any work painted directly, is drying, is sure and not consistent with finishing and may change now, is about to.